Hi, my fellow screenwriting enthusiasts. It's Paul from Small Town Movie Critic. Now, if you're new to the channel, we're all about helping you write that kick-ass screenplay by giving you tips, tools, inspiration, and product reviews. Now, if you feel this is the type of content that would be good for helping with your screenwriting endeavors, please feel free to hit the subscribe button, as well as the bell icon and the like button. Now, as we do each and every week, I'd like to welcome to all our new subscribers. This week, I'd like to welcome Ira Livingston and Samantha Solis to the community. So I thank you again for joining the community. I wish you luck and inspiration in your future writing endeavors. Now, in this week's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 3 vital preparations that every screenwriter needs to do prior to beginning their screenplay. I know as a self-taught screenwriter that I wasn't aware of any of these 3 preparations, and to be honest, I don't think they really go over this in screenwriting classes as well either. Now, these are some pretty basic preparations, but one that if you don't address will make it harder than hell to get that kick-ass screenplay done. Now, the 3 key preparations every screenwriter should have worked out prior to putting pen to paper or hand to keyboard are commitment, space, and time. Now, before you turn the video off thinking, I don't need to do this, I want to ask you a simple question. How has your previous attempts for screenwriting gone? I know when I first learned about these 3 preparations, I just laughed thinking they were just meaningless. Of course, I am committed, I thought. However, I want you to be honest with yourself. I know after I took some time and took a hard look at my past attempts in writing a screenplay that my commitment was a little bit more than lackluster. Now, when I began writing the screenplay, I would tell myself it would get done when I said it would get done. Sort of no pressure, sort of like what you hear from like Blizzard or CD Projekt Red. You know, the project will be done when the project will be done. Now, unfortunately, this lack of a hard deadline and no pressure just allowed me to pass my idea on by. Yeah, I was a writer, but I took too much time. But I had too much to do that day. I would simply write on a different day. Well, you know what? That day came and went, and then another day came and went, and I never finished my screenplay. Now, my friend Jeff goes out and teaches screenwriters told me about an exercise he does where he says that he wants the people in a screenplay class to fill out a postcard with the date that they will get their first draft on, so he can send it to them on that date. And you wouldn't believe how people freaked out about this. They're like, I don't know when this is going to happen. And some people actually wrote that their first draft wouldn't be done for a full year. A full year to work on a rough draft. Now, honestly, before I began to see how important commitment was, I would have fallen into this group where you had to give me a year to work on a rough draft. Now, as I approached my first rough draft, I told myself I'd get it done in a month from start to finish. I followed through on it, and here's the amazing thing. I finished a rough draft in 30 days. Was it hard? Oh yeah. And I'm not going to lie, there were definitely times I wanted to give up, but because of my commitment to be done in 30 days, I finished it and can now start working, or I have been working on tweaking it. So before you begin that rough draft, what is your commitment going to be to get that first draft done? 3 months, a month, 4 weeks, 3 weeks? Push yourself. It isn't always easy to push, because it's always easy to push it off than to commit and get it done. Now, the other two things are tied to commitment, and they are space and time. Where are you going to write this kick-ass screenplay at? For me, it was at my desk downstairs in the basement. However, before I began to write my screenplay, my desk was a mess. Paper and things were cluttered up my desk, and it was hard to find stuff, and it wasn't always easy to put my computer down so I could work on my screenplay. Now, before I began writing, I took a day and cleaned it off. I filed paperwork where it needed to go, I got rid of the junk that was on there, and I organized everything I needed to organize. You know, it was a very liberating feeling because when I sat down to write, I didn't have to take the mental energy to move paperwork around or figure out where I was going to put my computer at or get distracted by all the stuff that just needed to be put away. Now, the next thing I did was find myself a comfortable chair. Now, the chair I had for my office was okay, but it was uncomfortable to sit in for anything longer than 15 minutes. And I was going to be writing for longer than 15 minutes at a time, so I had to make sure my backside wasn't going to be hurting. So again, it seems like a no-brainer, but by preparing like this, I put myself in a situation where my chair wouldn't cause me to lose concentration on my writing. Now, here's a brief word from our sponsor of the video for this week. Since November, I've been doubled my subscriber base on YouTube, and it was all for hooking up with vidIQ. vidIQ is a Chrome extension that gives you helpful feedback on your YouTube channel. It lets you know what content is working, it helps with keywords, and gives you some other helpful metrics that allow you to determine how to better present the content that you're making for the YouTube algorithm. Now, I have an affiliate link down in the comment section below, and if this is something that you'd like to use for your YouTube channels. And the plan that I use is actually just about $10 a month, and they have other different plans as well too. But take a look if you want to support the channel. This is one way to do that, and also it's a great tool. Like I said, I wouldn't be in the position I was today if it wouldn't be for vidIQ. Well, let's get back to our content. The last piece of preparation you need to figure out is time. You have a physical place you can park your butt, and right now you need to carve out that specific time. Are you an early morning writer? So does 5 to 7 a.m. work? Or maybe your neurons work the best in the evening and maybe 8 to 10 works the best, or maybe midday, maybe noon to 2. The important thing is to carve out the time and stick to that time. Now, personally, for myself, I ended up writing from about 8 to 10, and it just worked out well for me and my schedule. And the more I did this, the more I actually look forward to my desk and my time writing on my screenplay. It also helped me not to give into my frustration or lack of confidence, because I knew I'd be back there writing again the next night. I know I'd get another crack at it, so if it didn't turn out the way I wanted to the first time, I could work on it again. So after making my commitment, then carving out my space and time, I finished my rough draft for my screenplay again in 30 days from start to finish. It was such a sense of accomplishment, and one that keeps me going as I begin the rewriting process for this particular screenplay. So what about you? Have you figured out your spaces and your times? Have you figured out what your commitment is? Please leave a comment in the section below. Now, my biggest hope for you is that you continue your writing journey. Only you can write that kick-ass screenplay for the world that the world will love to see turned into that Oscar-winning film. So until the next video, keep writing. God bless and good night.